Morning, everybody. Fingers crossed it's actually working. I've had quite a few setbacks in this morning's stream. All right, now, this morning I'm practicing. It's been over a week since I played the drums because we were dog sitting for some friends. And the dog was very sensitive to different sounds. So I'm back, finally playing the drums. And we are working on limb independence today. And all these 468 different live streams, there are timestamps in the description to show what I was practicing, whether it's the technique stuff, the limb independent stuff, or the tenor stuff. So you can see what I was practicing or what I was talking about. Now, because I've been drumming since 1998, and because I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education, I'll get people who come in and ask me questions about how to get better as a performer or how to get better as an educator. And I will often edit those and put them in this drumming tips playlist that has I think it's 13 seconds shy of 16 hours of free drumming tips inside of here. And over 100 videos of different questions that I've answered. Now, the first thing that I talk about is the title. For example, how to teach the drumline to blend in with the ensemble. And if it says, and other teaching tips or and other drumming tips, that means there are more topics inside of there. So just click the timestamps in the description to go to a different topic in all of these 100 plus videos in here. If you have a question, you can ask them on the live stream, or you can ask them on any of the comments on my videos. I respond to all of them. Unless, of course, you're a troll, you just get banished to the nether without a response from myself. Now, I have not played in over a week, and I'm not very good at limb independence yet, so I need Shia LaBeouf here to help motivate me to be able to do the limb independence today. This is going to be a difficult stream today. Shia, help me out. I don't know if I can do it anymore. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success, while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, yeah, Shia LaBeouf. We're all tired of starting over. Thank you for the motivation. Now, today I'm working on limb independence patterns. Now, the way that I'm doing this, and have been doing it for over a year, has been working out of this book. It's called 50 Ways of Syncopation. It's by Don Moyle. Highly recommend the book. Inside of it, it's got 50 ways that you can work on limb independence while practicing Ted Reed's book, Syncopation, or the 20 charts in this book, or the 55 charts on my YouTube channel that are play-alongs. Now, in these books, Gary Chester's books, New Breed 1 and New Breed 2, he outlines a process for limb interdependence, which I have modified and have practiced with all these different patterns. This spreadsheet right here is all of Dom's 50 ways to work on limb independence, as well as some variations of my own, like the one that I'm going to be working on today. The two that I'm going to be working on. So what I've done with this spreadsheet is column A keeps track of, on average, how am I doing with all of these different patterns? So the very basic ding, ging, ding, and you play eighth notes on the snare drum and anything longer than that on the bass drum is right here, and it's got all of the times that I played it in the last year or so. And so it has what's the average BPM, what's the quality of playing, how did I feel while doing it, etc. Column A is keeping track of, on average, how was it. So any of the ones that are technically proficient, which is playing the ink on the page, or musical, where I'm adding in extra timbres, textures to make it sound even better than just ink on a page, all of those I'm skipping. I'm focusing on the ones that are meh or needs a lot of work. Now, I've gone through more than 50 of them, and we're currently on pattern number 52 and 53. And these are variations that I have come up with, and let me put it on the screen so you can see it. So this particular pattern, it requires some explanation here. So it's wonky. So if you were to play a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Okay, so that pattern as 16th notes, 1 and a 2, do 1, 2, 3, 4. Take that 16th note idea and play it as triplets. So you'd have da 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 da. Okay, so this is what it was originally as 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we're playing that pattern as triplets. On 2 and 4 is the hi-hat. So it's technically 3 of those 16th note patterns as triplets. So it's a 3 over 4. But we're also playing a straight pattern in the ride while we swing 8th notes on the snare and anything longer than that on the bass drum. So it's technically a 3 over 4 straight over swung. What? It's weird. And it has taken me quite some time to even be able to play through the charts, as you can see here. All right, so we're going to do this at 125 today, and the way that I'm going to practice this is using the charts that are on my YouTube channel's home tab, but you can also find them at jaredoleary.com/drum, which is where I'm at right now. On this website, as well as on my YouTube, you'll find 2,000 plus free play-alongs and over 16 hours of free drumming tips. Here's 80 chop exercises, like some shopping sprees and whatnot. This playlist has like 29 sprees in it, I think. There's over 1,000 grid variations in here. I highly recommend rudiment on ones. There's triplet, 16th note, and then it's also some wacky stuff like hurt to grid and whatnot. This is where I'm practicing. I'll show you that in a second. Under the marching bass stuff, there's just under 500 exercises to work on. I'd highly recommend marking time to these timing exercises. And once you get those down, then work on the splits timing. It simulates practicing on your own as a bass drummer. So you'll see what I'm talking about by it muting and unmuting different parts. So check out the splits timing if you're interested in that. There's also a bunch of drumline cadences and score format. There's over 200 sight reading exercises. These are currently listed as members first, and there's over 600 videos that are members first. That just means it's coming out for free down the road. So every day there's a new play along that comes out, at least one, sometimes more. And there's over 600 of those. So if you want early access, it's 99 cents. Just click the join button, and then you get all of those 600 videos. But again, they're all coming out for free. It just might literally be like a year and a half from now before one of the videos comes out that you're interested in. There's over 400 technique exercises. Like, you can work on your flams, you can work on, I don't know, your stick control, whatever you want. So check out those playlists. And then finally, here's where you can find over 16 hours of drumming tips. These are the scripted lessons, and then the drumming tips playlist is the one that I talked about at the beginning of the stream that has all of the questions I've answered live on stream, just edited down so it's, you know, condensed. Cutting out the time for me to think. Okay, so we're playing Limit Independence, and there's the permutations here. There's the straight versions of charts here, 55 of them, and then there's 55 charts that are swung play-alongs in here. Every single one of these links to this video, how to develop limb independence on the drum kit, so check that out if you're interested in how to do that. But I'm playing at 125, and I'm playing a straight over swung 3 over 4 pattern, but because the snare and the bass are going to be swung, I'm going to play, swung right here. And I'm just going to start with the very first one, but again, there's 55 charts inside of here. So in all these thousands of free play-alongs, you can go into the timestamps to jump to a BPM. Because I'm playing this at 125, I just click 125. It gives a few seconds for you to get set up, and then it counts you off. These play-alongs can go as slow as 20 beats a minute all the way up to 240 at the maximum speed. 2, ready, and... Okay, so this is the ostinato. This is the thing that stays the same. Now I'm going to read 8th notes swung on the snare, everything on bass. Everything else. Oops. No. There we go. Oof. This does not feel comfortable. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 over 4 with the ride and the snare drum. 1, 2, here we go. reading issue there. Hooked on phonics. Did not work for me. Cool. Chart number 3. This does not feel comfortable right now. 1, 2, 1, 2, hey. Really got to focus on this. Whoo, 2 more charts. Each one of these is grouped into groupings of 5 charts. 1, 2, ready, and... Cool. Last chart. One, two, 1, 2. Here we go. No. Dang. Ooh, that was rough. Yeah, so let's stretch and massage, but let me put this down. So overall, it needs a lot of work on that one, which is unfortunate. I was like so close to like feeling like I graduate from it, but the last, what was it, like 9 days? Okay, thank you for that notification, Windows. Yeah, no, don't. What are you doing? What are you doing, Windows? It's like trying to interrupt me with a update. Hey, how about don't do that? Yeah, so for the last, what, like 9 days, I haven't drummed at all because the dog that we were watching for some friends was like super sensitive to sounds. And so like didn't even pad out anything. So that's unfortunate. Huge step back from that. Now with the process that I'm taking for these limb independence patterns, this one and the one that I'm about to do are like the hardest ones that I've ever done. And it's requiring a lot of my brain power to be able to play through it. And unfortunately, just keep getting Windows updates. Thank you. Appreciate you. Unfortunately, that one didn't go good. We took some steps back. I'm stretching the underside of the forearm now. We're going to do just a quick stretch and massage routine, and then I'll get back into some patterns. So the next one that I'm going to do is even harder. So instead of doing the 3/4 with 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, now it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But the and is going to have a shup on the hi-hat. So while again doing it as a 3/4 variation with straight over swung. And it's difficult. Based on how that one went. I don't know how this next one's going to go. All right, next one is stretching the top of the forearm. So you could do it like this. But I'm going to do it on my legs. It goes twice as fast. That's the thing is, like, sometimes when I'm learning these patterns, if I take an extended break from it, in this case, like, what, 9 days or whatever, it just makes it so there's regression on it. You got to, like, reinforce it over and over to the point where if you don't play it for a while, then you just come back to it and you're like, oh, yeah, it's like just riding a bike. I got this. I'm not there yet. So we will continue to practice it. Which is, you know, the point of practicing. Practice the stuff you're not good at. Had far too many students practice the stuff they were good at. And they usually did that whenever they knew somebody else could hear them practice. So whether they're in a practice room or at like band camp or whatever. Ooh, ASMR. Don't do that. You won't get better that way. Oh, no ASMR? Fine. Be that way. I see how it is, fingers. All right, so that was the last stretch that I did was just the fingers. So now I'm going to do a quick massage. So I'm just going up and down the forearms. Just trying to relax everything. Ooh. I might come back to that pattern at the end of this. But I want to sit with this next pattern that I'll actually post on here. So you can actually get a preview of it, at least through the text. But that pattern I think I'm going to come back to. Okay, so the next one I just posted up there in case you're curious. The Soca is the that I was describing earlier. Come. And I'm going to massage the back of the hand with the fingers, and the thumb is massaging the palm. Working my way around the hands. Do this every day, at least once a day, if not twice a day. Like when you practice, and then at the opposite time of the day. So for example, I'm practicing in the morning, so at night, if my hands are feeling tight, I'll go through this routine again. Base to tip, massaging each one of the fingers. At least twice. And this is the last one. And then I'll play through the pattern 53, or at least attempt it. Will I be able to do it? Who knows? Okay. So this pattern, similar idea where we're taking a 16th note ostinato and we're translating it into a triplet ostinato. So instead of 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, like this, you know, from a Soca. Like that. What we're doing is triplet, 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 buckets, buckets, buckets. Instead of going buckets, 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 da-ga-da, da-ga-da, da-ga-da. Okay? So that's what we're going to be playing. So this is a straight pattern. But you're doing 3 of them in the space of 4 beats. So it's a 3/4 as triplets. And I'm playing swung, 1/8 notes on the snare, and anything longer than an 1/8 note on the bass drum using the play-alongs. So I've been doing this one at 100 instead of 125, and it needs a lot of work. And since it's been so long since we played, it's probably not going to sound good today. Now, in my home tab, you'll find literally over 2,000 free exercises in here. There's the chop stuff. There's over 1,000 grid variations. Here's where I'm practicing today. There's a bunch of marching bass drum stuff. There's drumline cadences. There's sight reading stuff. There's over 400 technique exercises. And then over 16 hours of tips and lessons. For every single one of these, just click on the header, and then it shows you all the playlists for them so you can find them all. So I'm playing a swung pattern in the snare and the bass, and I'm doing it at 100. So I'm going to go into swung drum charts, 100 to 159. And there's 55 charts in here to practice in groups of 5. I just did 1 through 5, and because I want to practice sight reading, I'm not going to play the same one again, so I'm going to do 6 through 10, and with all these thousands of free play-alongs, just go to the timestamps, click the BPM, and then it counts off. It's muted on your end, but it's there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Buckets, buckets, buckets. Da 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 da. Wish me luck. 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Keep hitting my stick. Like there. Yeah, so most of those issues was me hitting my stick. Because I'm doing a stick over stick crossover. I need a fulcrum. If I play too loud on the snare drum, so that way I can actually hear it because of the drum trigger, I sometimes hit the sticks. Whoops, 1, 2, here we go. I hit it again. Yeah, the drum trigger's not picking them all up. See if that adjustment helps. I hit my thumb on one of those. That hurt. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, 1, 2. Here we go. Whoops. Why, hello on the YouTube vertical. How you doing this morning? So far, this pattern feels more comfortable than the first one. I don't know if it's because it's like 25 clicks slower or what. 1, 2, 1, 2, here we go. my sticks are really messing up the rhythms. Maybe don't do that. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jared. Good advice. Yeah, also play better. Oh, okay. Thank you. I will. 1, 2, maybe. 1, 2. Here we go. Oof, better. Yeah, so the crossovers, I kept hitting the stick. The one underneath was like bumping this one up. They would like either mess up the ostinato or like mess up the snare when doing this. But I'm having to play loud because this isn't picking up all the sounds if I play too quiet. Like you can't even hear that. There we go. Now you can hear it. Let me adjust it a little bit. How can you motivate the bass line to enjoy themselves more? Bass drums usually just play simple. Kind of sees it as boring. They're demotivated because they don't have interesting parts, basically. Interesting question. My initial thought was like, well, like, show them really good bass lines that are in whatever, like, I don't know, if you're in like a, I don't know, open class. Show them really good open class bass lines, etc. But if it's like just unison parts, that's kind of hard to do. Because it's boring. I'm trying to think. So some of the stuff that I talked about before, like that I've done to make the basics more interesting, pun intended, basics, is to like put on, we had these headphones all hooked up into a mixer so like everybody could like listen to music that I had at that time on my iPod, and I'd play it, and we'd all be able to just like sit there and just like just play this pattern over and over, and it made it more interesting. When I didn't have those headphones, then I'd like play on drum kit while just play some like grooves just while they're working on the basics, etc. to make it more interesting. If I didn't have a drum kit, then I just like play just like something, improvise it on snare, tenor, whatever, just to make it more interesting. But none of that's gonna like make the like boring, simple unison bass drum parts more interesting. So one of the things that you could do as an option, if the parts are too easy for them, is either rewrite the parts, have the members take some time to actually try and make it more interesting, more challenging, like add in some splits instead of just unisons the entire time for the bass line, or work on something outside of that. So if there was, as an example, when I taught like concert percussion, a lot of the parts were sight readable, like super easy, because the composer was focusing so much on the melodies and harmonies going on in the winds and the brass, and they just like cut and paste a simple part for the percussion section. So what we do outside of those concert rehearsals is we would work on a percussion ensemble piece that was like actually at the level that challenged the students to be able to play something that was interesting and help them improve, get to the next level, etc. So what we would often do is step outside of the rehearsal where we're playing the easy stuff and be like, hey, 1 out of every 2 or 3 rehearsals or whatever, we're going to leave and we're going to instead focus on this more challenging thing. We would do that instead. So what they could do, instead of playing the very basic show music, etc., what they could do is like create a bass ensemble piece that they work on outside of that, or like work on some technique exercises that are more interesting than just playing, like, I don't know, quarter notes, eighth notes, etc. Or they could work on chop exercises, and there's like literally thousands of those on my YouTube channel's home tab that they could potentially go through. They could even work on some of those more challenging splits timing exercises while doing that, etc. That could be a thing that you can do. So you can either make the part that they're playing more interesting, or give them something more interesting outside of that to help motivate them. But it's hard when the music is just like, why would I want to practice this? Like, I'm not interested in this. So as a former like caption head and arranger for the percussion parts, the battery percussion, I wanted to balance not only playing something that they were like gonna play to sound clean, but also help them want to practice it by challenging them enough. And if you're writing parts that are not challenging or not interesting, then it can be demotivating, like you were saying. So it's a difficult balance to try and strive for as the arranger, as like caption head, etc. Like to get the drum line to sound clean, but also like to push them to that next level. But if the music can't be changed, then try something outside of that. Hello on the YouTube vertical. Let's see. Yeah, bass members. They got put on bass because they did not make the snare, making them enjoy the bass drum instead of disliking it. Been there, done that. Had a lot of drum lines where that was the case. I like 1 year, like I was offered a WGI spot for a bass position. I was like, nah, I'm more interested in snare. Just my own preference. I didn't want to do that, so I didn't. So yeah, I get that. I've talked about this in like other videos, but like there's so many nuances with instruments. So let's take bass, marching bass. Let's talk about some of the nuances with like concert bass. I'll very quickly go over it. So like if let's say this is a bass drum, depending on where you hit, you're going to get a different type of resonance. So it's going to change the sound quality that you're doing. The shape that you do with your hand is going to change the sound quality. So where you move your hand along the bass drum, how much skin contact is on it, whether you're doing a C shape or you're slowly moving it down to a full flat hand, and where you put that hand is going to change the sound quality of it. What kind of mallet you use is going to change the sound quality of it. Where you strike, again, is going to change the sound quality. Whether you tune the top head differently than the bottom head on a concert bass drum, also going to change the sound of it. You could use muffling techniques like not just the hand, but also use the like towels, other things. Like there's so many little nuances with just bass drum, which is played on one head on one drum by one person. You can get them interested in it by the level of execution that you can do on an ensemble, where you're trying to make it so that everybody is playing with really good sound quality. So I've mentioned this before, but when I saw Boston in the lot at the Arizona show this year, the sound quality of the unisons on that bass line were absurd. Like the level of uniformity across all the bass drummers was at a level that was so above and beyond everybody else in the lot. No offense to anybody else that was at that show, but it was like you go and listen to the other drum lines. They're like, yeah, they're like all like kind of like similar, but then you listen to the like Boston's bass line, and you're just like, what are they doing that makes them sound so good? And you can get into those little nuances if they're actually at that level. But like the thing is, one of the reasons why they did not make snare or tenor line is likely their inability to execute consistently on the basic things, pun intended. So being put on a bass line might feel like, well, this is boring, this is too easy, I want to be playing that hard stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, but right now you really need to get your hands to play to your feet and your feet to stay in time, and you can't really do either of those two things. So this is a great moment to refine those basics, again, pun intended, to continue to try and work on things. Like, I've been drumming for almost 30 years, since 1998, and I still am working on stuff that I'm, like, trying to refine. Like, I'm still refining what I do with my left hand compared to my right hand, because now I play match grip, even though I march traditional grip. Like, I'm still refining my rhythmic accuracy and consistency. I'm still working on limb independence, etc. Like, there's always things to work on, so diving deeper into the instrument itself and just how good it can sound when you're trying to blend in with 5 people playing on 5 different types of drums. So like the lowest bass drum is going to have a different kind of resonance than the highest bass drum, and making it so that the unison sounds good between that extreme rather than everybody playing the exact same type of drum honestly can be harder than a snare line where everybody is like playing the same, or a tenor line where everybody has the same tuning, etc. So getting into those nuances might encourage them, or again, just give them something to play that is harder than what they're currently doing. Or like, hey, let's work on some roll exercises, or let's work on some roll timing exercises or whatever. So like, as an example, if you go to like my home tab on YouTube, instead of like working on like the bass drum exercises here under the marching bass stuff, like the timing exercises, or like even some of these like wackier splits, you could just be like, hey, we're going to work on the technique stuff. This is the same stuff that the snare and tenor line is playing, but you need to be able to play it too on the bass drum because it's going to help you to play better. So you could just play some like snare exercises on the bass. Even though their show music, it might be overkill, like they might not have like flam drags or something on the bass drum. Probably don't. But if they can play them, then it helps them become a better performer, which makes it so they're better at bassline and helps prepare them for if they want to continue to move on to snare and tenor. But bass is its own like special thing that you can hype up by showing like really good bass lines. Like show like Ayala high school bass line and be like, yo, like we could do this too with enough effort, time, consistency, etc. Like you can find a lot of YouTube videos to help motivate them. Like we used to, one of the marching bands that I taught at, we used to put on BOA Grand National shows every morning before we would start. So as everybody was getting ready, like projected on the screen, we would have like a BOA Grand National performance going on. So it would motivate people to see like, hey, we can do this too. Like we're competing in like the BOA like regional event against these people that are up on the screen. So like if they're working hard and they're able to achieve that, like what could we do as well? Like that could be another thing. Or when it was like percussion practice, I'd put on like WGI DVDs or whatever. Now you can just go on YouTube. Back in my day, we didn't have that. And just have that going on to help motivate, kick a little spark under them. If that makes sense. Personally, your freshman year, you just put on bass drum. Yeah, no. I've heard quite a few people who are like, I didn't want to play bass, and then I did, and I like really liked it, and like they went like all in 100% into bass drum, which is sweet. For me, the instrument was like snare drum. That was like my OCD was very much the perfectionist nature. I was 100% all in on snare and really love that. But yeah, I mean, bass is cool too. You just got to be able to sell it and like show them why it's interesting rather than like perpetuating that culture of, well, you're not as good as like the snare. Why, hello. Does that say Mr. Cowpoker Doctor? You're a Mr. Doctor? I'm a doctor as well. Hajime mashite. Okay. I just ranted a bunch. That just gave my brain some time to stop focusing on the pattern that I was just playing. Sorry, that was a long rant. But on here, I'm going to play through the next set. So we just did 6 through 10, so now I'm just going to do 11 through 15, and we're going to try this again. So the pattern that I'm playing is a weird one. So it's a 3/4. Instead of 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, we're going as triplets. So triplet, 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 buckets, buckets, buckets. So it's 3/4. Hi-hat pattern. This is a 3/4 pattern. And we're playing swung 1/8 notes on the snare and anything longer than that on the bass drum. And we're doing it at 100. Wish me luck. It's going to count off. You can't hear the play along, but you can if you, like, you know, use these to practice with. And hopefully this time I don't hit my sticks as much underneath. Ooh, I'll adjust that in a little bit. Give me a second. For your question about like not knowing what to practice, what instrument in particular, that might help guide my answer. One, two, here we go. Oops. Do I like drumming? Yes. I don't know if you have a VR headset. There's a drumming game, like Guitar Hero. Oh, that's cool. Sometimes wearing a VR headset like makes me feel nauseous. One, two, here. I love you. You always start to feel sick with the nice thing is like the headsets are getting better and like trying to prevent that, but they still can be inconsistent. It depends on what you're playing. When there's that lag, it's a little weird. 1, 2, ready, and... Oops. You like to hear my take on snare, tenors, and bass? Yeah, I can talk about that. 1, 2, 1, 2, here we go. Oopsies. Okay, so let's talk about your question, which is a good question. Let's go. Whoa, what happened there? What happened? Why is it doing that? It's like showing. The formula. Got it. Cool. Thanks. Appreciate you. Huh. Must have hit a shortcut that would show you the formula rather than the value. Interesting. Okay, so it's very fair to be like, hey, I appreciate that you got, thousands of resources here, but like, what do I use to practice? Like, do I do the chop stuff? Do I do grid? Do I do the marching bass stuff? Do I go to the sight reading, to the technique? Like, where do I start? Like, what do I do? I play snare. I also play tenor. I play bass. Blah, 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 blah. So all of these resources are helpful, but like it's difficult to sort through it all and figure out like where do I start. So at the top of every single one of the play-alongs, it links to here. So jaredoleary.com/drum. So on here, it's got everything organized neater than I can on YouTube because, it's my website as opposed to YouTube's website. But there's this video here that's at the top that says start here if you don't know what to practice. Now inside of here, this has timestamps in the description that shows different things like how to improve your timing, how to improve chops, how to improve marching tenor drums, how to improve marching bass drums, etc. So it's got all these different categories here that you can use. And I spend sometimes several minutes like on how to improve rolls. It's that whole section right here from 21, almost 22 minutes all the way up to 33 and a half minutes. So quite some time just talking about rolls or just talking about how to improve 3s and 4 strokes, etc. So this can give you a preview of like different exercises that I recommend and some things that you can work on to improve like your rolls or to work on your flams or to work on your accent taps or whatever. So again, this is on my website, jaredoleary.com/drum, and it's the start here if you don't know what to practice video. Just look at the timestamps in there. Now, in terms of like snare drum, what to practice, what I generally recommend, I've said this a bunch, is 50 to 60% of your time should be on just the technique stuff. Focus on that. 30 to 40% of your time should be on grid, specifically rudiment on 1. Do this with diddles, flams, cheeses, flam drags, flam 5s, and that's it. Don't worry about the other stuff. Don't worry about the wacky, like book report off the left, backwards, while doing a cartwheel, all that fun stuff. Just focus on those rudiments on 1, both as triplet and 16th note. That'll help you refine your rudiments. And then for fun, this is kind of like the dessert. 10, maybe 20% of your time at most should be on the chop stuff. Like there's 29 chopping sprees in here at the moment. It's fun to play. It just keeps you motivated, etc. But if you're like, yeah, but like what technique exercises do I work on? So what are the things that I recommend doing in the drumming tips videos? No. Yeah, that one. So in drumming tip number 94, which is called How to Improve If You Don't Have a Drum Instructor, I talk about some ways that you can like improve your playing, obviously, if you don't have a drum instructor. But there's a section in here. Where is it? the section that starts at 3 minutes and 49 seconds, which is do this instead of drumming in front of a mirror. So this whole section talks about how you can record your own playing and then watch it back. So you can watch it back with the sound off, which makes it so that you can just look at things visually to figure out, like, visually, what is not looking good? What looks tight? What looks like it's slowing down? What looks like my hand just can't play that? What looks different in terms of, does my left hand match my right hand sound, etc.? Just watching it on mute. But then you can also watch it in slow motion to see, like, what is going on with this? How is the interpretation of, like, the diddles changing if I listen to it really slow? Like, does it sound nice and even? Or does it sound like it's the second note is coming in early or coming in late on a roll or whatever? But you can also watch it in fast forward to see, like, am I moving my upper body when I'm playing a bunch? And you'll notice that when you're watching it in fast forward. When you're playing slow, you might not notice it while, like, doing tenors, like moving your hips, things like that. It might be such a small, slow motion, but when you speed things up, you'll just see your body jiggling around a bunch. And those are some things that can be revealed if you record yourself while playing. So if you listen to this particular section, again, it's at 3 minutes and 49 seconds, and this is in drumming tip number 94, how to improve if you don't have a drum instructor. That can help, like, figure out some of the things to work on. And so you might be like, okay, well, I want to work on my accent tap. So what are some accent tap exercises that can be found on the website? So if you go to the technique section and you just pick any one of the ones in here and go, okay, well, is it my downstrokes or is it my upstrokes? Well, if it's my downstrokes, well, then I need to work on any one of these downstroke exercises. If it's my upstroke, maybe I need to work on any of these upstroke exercises. If it's alternating, maybe I need to work on some of the other ones, etc. So just pick any exercise and start slow with it and slowly refine it. And if you do this each day, where you, like, set a goal for yourself, here's the thing that I'm going to work on, and that goal comes from what you did in the prior practice session. Let me actually rephrase that, make it a little more clear. So when you watch the recording of yourself playing through something, and you notice these, like, oh, when it's on mute, I'm noticing that my right hand is higher than my left hand, or whatever. Those give you goals to work on for your next practice session. So at the end of your session, you'll review, you'll analyze, like, 1 rep of something, 2 reps of something. What is it that went well? What is it that has been improved? And what is it that I'm going to work on next time? The following practice session that you have, you just start attacking that. So if you're like, okay, well, my flams weren't great, well, then maybe go to the technique section and work on some flam exercises. Just pick anything that might be able to help you with that. And if you find an exercise that doesn't, just go to another one. There's a bunch of them in each one of these different things. If you're like, well, actually, it's the timing of my diddles that is slightly off, like my second note is coming in early, well, then check out diddle timing or check out, like, the 5-stroke timing. Again, these are all things that I talk about inside of this Start Here If You Don't Know What to Practice. I can give you a preview of all these different exercises. Then you're focusing on that the entire practice session, like, hey, I just want to refine this thing. And you record yourself at the end and you analyze it again and go, okay, well, what went well? What could I improve? Go through those steps that were outlined in the drumming tip number 94 to, like, mute it, unmute it, watch it fast forward, watch it slow motion, etc. And then use that to go, okay, what do I need to work on next? And just continue to, like, repeat this cycle over and over. And it might be, like, the same thing for a week or a month or multiple months that you're going to continue to refine and focus on. And that's normal. Like, the drum patterns, the limb independence patterns that I've been working on today, I started working on over a month ago, and I'm still struggle busting my way through it. And I know that it's going to get better, but it's going to take significant amount of time to get it to where it actually feels comfortable to play these difficult patterns, etc. The same thing might be for your flams, or it might be for your accent taps, playing them relaxed, or whatever. But if you're not sure, like, what to listen for when you're practicing, like, the tips and lessons section has a ton of things that I mentioned in these scripted videos, like, you should hear this when you drum. That talks about the stick hum or resonance that you hear in between each one of the notes. And it's a very important skill, which is why I made a whole video on it. But there's even more, like, things that I talk about in the almost 16 hours of drumming tips that are currently in here. There's over 100 videos in here that give you some things to work on. They're all valuable, but what you need to focus on is, like, the big rocks, like the biggest bang for your buck. So if it's like, I have really bad rolls, or sometimes my thumb goes from here to right here, just a little subtle motion, maybe don't work on that. Maybe focus on the consistency of your rolls. Like, focus on the things that, like, would set you apart or improve you the most, I guess is how to phrase it. I'm not phrasing it good. Right now I'm being a bad educator. How do I want to think about this? It's hard to, like, respond to answers on the cuff. But I've had decades of practice with it. Still need work. I guess here's a better way to phrase it. Better vocal point for you. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. So when you start recording yourself, you'll start to notice patterns where it's like, these are the consistent airs. These are the inconsistent airs. The inconsistent airs might be just like, oh, I was thinking about something else. Like, I'm hungry, or I want to go hang out with a friend after this practice session, or I'm thinking about what somebody said online a month ago. I don't know. That will cause some inconsistent airs where it's like, you're just kind of rolling in your D20. Is it going to sound good or is it going to sound bad? Don't know. Ignore those. Those are the things that you don't need to worry about. That's just a mental focus thing. You can work on meditation and other things to help improve that. The thing to focus on is like, every single time I play like flam accents, my grace note raises up. Every single time. If you do that and focus on that to lower your grace note, make so it's consistent, that's the thing to focus on. Those are the big things to really improve. The basics are the most important things. I had a friend who, phenomenal drummer, had chops out the wazoo, but marching time and playing from the hands to the feet was just kind of like inconsistent. And so when they auditioned at a drum corps and we went to Vanguard together, they got cut because they couldn't play their hands to their feet. They just weren't able to do that. So that was something that they had to go back and work on. Even though they had all the hands down, like they could play out the wazoo, their timing on their feet was just a little weird with their mark time with their hands. And so they went and they worked on it, and then they made Blue Devils and then became center snare for Blue Devils, etc. But it was the focus on the basics that they needed to work on. So like learning another shopping spree did absolutely nothing for them, but learning how to mark time and play the hands to the feet made it so that they eventually made Blue Devils and eventually became center snare for Blue Devils, etc. It's the basics that matter the most, which is why that I'm like consistently saying to focus on the technique stuff as the most important thing. But that's mainly for snare drum. For tenor drums, you're like, okay, well, how do I work on like the technique stuff for all these different like exercises? So for tenor drums, under the drumming tips videos, there's a video that is, what? No, stop it. Get some help. So drumming tip number 67, which is intro to tenor playing zones. If you go to this video, there's a part inside of here where I actually talk about how to come up with tenor splits with any exercise. So it's the part that starts at 3 minutes and 32 seconds in here, how to come up with tenor splits for an exercise. So you can take like a roll exercise and come up with dozens and dozens and dozens of different variations of roll exercises that you could use to work on this. And this talks about how to come up with that. So if you're like a snare drummer, cool, I just outlined what to work on for snares. But for tenors, if you go to drumming tip number 67 and you start to like, okay, I'm going to do outside sweeps only with rolls. I'm going to do inside sweeps only. Now I'm going to do it with crossovers going outside, inside. Or now I'm going to do flam accents and I'm going to put the accents on one drum, the taps on another drum, and that's going to result in me working on crossovers, etc. So this exercise right here, it takes the over 2,000 exercises on my channel's home tab and gives you even more ways that you can work on them with different splits. And you will have seen me do that on the tenor streams that I've done, where I'll just like sit there and just like work on, oh, I need to improve my interior sweeps with my rolls between drum 1 and 2, etc. And so I'll just do a roll exercise, a fulcrum control exercise, or whatever, and I will just sit there and grind that out using the techniques that I mentioned in drumming tip number 67. If you are a marching bass drummer and you're like, okay, but what do I focus on in order to improve? Under the marching bass drum section, there's a bunch of different things in here. The fun stuff are the splits variations, but that's like more intermediate and advanced. For basses, the thing to work on, again, is playing hands to the feet, specifically with different timing exercises. So there's 8th note, triplet, 16th note, and then there's timing transitions, which these have different permutations in here to work on. I don't know, let's just pick a random one. So sure, 16th note permutation, variation number 6. So inside of here, it has 1s, 2s. If we skip through this, this is very slow. It's at 40. then it goes into 3s, 4s. So there's all these different variations. If you can sit here and just like mark time while playing along to this and get it to be perfectly in time, this is going to set you apart from so many other bass drummers who cannot mark time and do the like isolated timing variations that are inside of here. This is just for the 16th note, but there's also triplet, there's also 8th notes, etc. And then the timing transition stuff is going from one rhythm to another rhythm. So it could be simple stuff like 8th note into 16th notes, or it could be wackier stuff like a sextuplet into a 5/4. And so this, if you can play through an exercise like this, the timing transition stuff can help you to be able to work on those. But if you want to work on your splits, specifically for the bass, scroll down again to the marching bass drum section, and we've got the splits timing and then the basics stuff that is currently members first, but again, they're all scheduled to release for free, so it will come out for free. But inside of here, what these different playlists do is they take a pattern and they play it as full ensemble, and then it mutes some parts, and then it unmutes those and mutes some other parts. Okay, so if we look at this, I'm just going to go to, I don't know, if you want to work on hand-to-hands or something, sextuplets. The first 2 lines, it says both parts audible. So you're going to hear drum 1, drum 2. Then what it's going to do is it's going to play the same thing again, but it's going to mute the second part. So if you are playing drum 2 on here, you're basically going to be practicing with somebody else. In this case, that somebody else is the computer. So the computer will play the top line. While you don't hear the bottom line, you play that there. And then after that, it mutes the first part. So you can actually hear, all right, was I actually in time with this? So you can hear whether or not you're creating a flam or if you're playing perfectly in time with the drum 2 part on here. So it plays through every single one of these 3 times for all of these different splits. So it does both parts, it mutes one of them, and then it mutes the other. And there's a ton of different patterns in here. So when you go further down in here to the splits timing where it's got multiple drums rather than just 2 drums, for example, this one is for drum 1, and it's for these laser beams right here. So when it's doing it, it's going to have all the parts, and then it mutes drum 1. So you can practice the drum 1 part while doing this, and you'll hear all the other drums except for what you're going to play on your drum pad. And then, again, it'll solo drum 1 so you can actually make sure, am I in time with this? This was a very simple example. You're literally just playing like quarter notes. But there's more complicated versions because it does this for drum 2, drum 3, and drum 4 for every single one of these different splits variations, whether it's laser beams or whatever. Okay? So this is how you can work on some marching bass stuff, is start with the marching bass section and focus on the timing exercises, getting your feet to be able to play with your hands, or your hands to play with your feet, rather, the stuff down here. And then the more complicated stuff is the splits timing and the basics variations. And then there's also a bunch more different split variations in here that are challenging. So I know that's overwhelming because I just talked about 3 different instruments, but to give just like a quick recap of this, if you go to my website, which is linked at the top of every one of these play-alongs here, this video, start here if you don't know what to practice, this will point you to specific exercises. Just go into the timestamps and be like, hey, I want to work on my flams. What does Jared recommend for exercises to work on flams? So if you go to, let's see, the flams and hybrid rudiments right here, then I outline on this particular stream some recommendations of, hey, here's some exercises to work on that. Hey, here's some more exercises that you can work on that. And this will point you to some exercises where you're like, oh, that looks interesting. That looks like it would address the problem I'm having. Let me go work on that thing. So that can help. And then any of those drumming tips videos, it was like 94 and like 67 or something like that, can give you like the tenor exercises to work on, things to practice on your own, blah, 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 blah. Or you could just ask me. And you can ask me like in a comment, or you can ask me on a live stream and just be like, hey, I want to be able to work on this. And then I'll just point you towards some exercises that can help you with that. Because there's like over 2,000 exercises on here, like just for the technique stuff, there's over 400 of them. I know it's overwhelming, but these like playlists can help figure out like, oh, what do I want to do to work on endurance and speed? Well, there's 65 videos in here. Something in here might be interesting. Just spend like an hour one day just like going through, previewing them all and go, oh, this one looks like it would help me out with blah, or help me out with this other thing or whatever. Good question. I ranted a bunch. Let me jump back to the pattern that I was playing initially, and let me do that. I'm going to close off with that. So the pattern that I was just doing, 53, actually went better than I thought it would, to be honest with you. But the first pattern was not it at all. I'm just going to still say it needs a lot of work, but I'm making progress on it. So the pattern that I was doing was this one, MF52. And let me paste this so you can actually see it. Thank you so much. Hey, you're very welcome. I'm glad I can help in some way. I know there's a lot here. I had somebody when I was like first teaching, a band director said that like asking me a question is like taking a drink from a fire hydrant because you expect just a quick answer. And then I'm like, here's a 10-minute answer to that simple question. Which is why, like, somebody on stream was like, they asked me, like, hey, I'm a music educator and I'm thinking about getting a doctorate in music education. What do you think? So this is the edited version, but it's just under 15 minutes of me responding to whether or not it's worth it to get a PhD or a DMA in music education. And I have one, so I'm actually qualified to talk about that. So, yeah. Sometimes when people ask questions, I give a long answer, and other times I'm like, hey, check out this video so you can see my long answer. Okay, so the pattern that I'm doing, I'm going back to the very first thing that I tried to warm up with. So again, it's 3/4, swung over straight. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, ding, 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 ding. Okay. So it's da 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 da. So that's the straight pattern. While I'm playing the snare drum, swung on eighth notes and anything longer than that on the bass drum. So I'm doing this with the limb independence charts, and I'm doing it at 125. So I'm gonna go into the swung charts, boop, and I just did. What did I do? I'll just go towards the end here. We'll just do 46 through 50. I'm trying to not repeat myself, so that way I'm actually working on sight reading while working on this. So I know I started with chart 1, and I may have gotten to like either, I don't know, 15 or 20 or whatever, but I'm gonna just go to the end. So I'm doing this at 125, so 25 clicks faster than the first one. And then we'll attempt this one more time. 1, 2, ready, and... This is the ostinato, the part that doesn't change. Everything else we're going to read on the snare and the bass. Oops. Gotta flip my mouse upside down. Otherwise it covers that back line, or bottom line. Okay, the first chart was better. 1, 2, mostly. 1, 2, here we go. Hey, you're very welcome. Good questions. I like when I have to stop and think how to give a good answer. Or hopefully a good answer. Sometimes not so much. Ready? And... So I was like, uh-oh, is my phone alarm about to go off? So I like went and looked at the clock and then was like, wait, what line am I on? Where am I at? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and... Alright, last one. This is going way better than the warm-up. To be expected, though. You know, it's been over a week since I drummed. 1, 2, ready, and... That was way better. Huge improvements. Yay! Let me actually elaborate on what I was just kind of like quickly mention. Thank you for the reacts on the vertical. I see a lot of students when they like take a break from drumming, they come back to it, whether it's like a week or a month or sometimes way longer than that. They'll kind of have the expectations that they're just going to pick up exactly where they left off. But if you were, hopefully, practicing stuff that you're not good at yet, your brain is going to be like, oh, this thing that we've been like developing myelination around, trying to strengthen the neural pathways, etc., that thing is not as important as we thought because you stopped doing that for like a week or a month or whatever. And so it starts to like unmyelinate. I don't know what the word is for it. It's basically gets rid of that strengthening of the neural connection and goes, no, this is something we don't need. We need to prioritize some other things that we are focusing on. And that's a normal part of the process. That's just kind of how your brain works. If you keep doing something over and over every day, repeatedly, working on it, it can strengthen those pathways, make things stronger, makes it so that you can focus on more things while making things seem more automatic, air quotes there. So that muscle memory, air quotes again, of like this limb independence of these different ostinato patterns that I'm playing. If I keep working on them each day or every other day, they get better. But if I take a step away from them, they're going to get worse because I'm not reinforcing that connection. And so, because I haven't played some of these patterns in like 9 days, what's happening is I'm coming back to this and it's like taking a little step back. It might take my brain like some time to just like, oh yeah, that's how we do that. And then you'll get back up to it. Might only be like 10 minutes of practice. But I see some students when they first start, after taking an extended break, and they're like, I shouldn't have stopped playing. Now I've lost everything that I've learned. No. You may have lost some things, but it's like taking half a step back, and then after maybe an hour, maybe a day, maybe even a week, depending on how long your break is, you'll be back to where you were. It just might take some time. That's totally normal. That's just how the brain works. Might also just be that you're like, hands are tight, etc., which is why I've got like the exercises to help you to warm up, but also under the drumming lessons, if it's like a hand issue, a mechanical issue, this hand routine, Save My Drumming, that one has some stretches and massages to like keep your hands nice and healthy. You can do that even when you're taking a break or when you come back after drumming to improve your playing overall. It's normal, is what I'm basically trying to say. So if you take a break and things don't sound good, don't beat yourself up over it. just get back on it. You know how to practice. And if you don't, check out the tips and lessons section. There's tons of things that you can work on to improve. Demyelinate? Is that what it is? Okay. I'm not that kind of doctor. I've read it, but I am not a neuroscientist. Anyways, I went over today. Great questions in the chat. If you want to find these resources, just go to my home tab of YouTube. You got to click on the headers for all of them. But it shows you all the different play-alongs in here. There's over 2,000 of them. And if you find any of the ones that say members first, like currently all of these, what alarm's going off? All these sight reading ones, they all say members first on here. They're all scheduled to release for free. So I promise they're all going to come out. Just give it time. Because there's over 600 of them, it might be a year and a half from now before it comes out. But it's going to come out for free. Or just click the join button. It's 99 cents. This is the cheapest I can make it on YouTube. And it gives you access to all of the videos that are members first. Or again, it comes out for free. So just give it time. You'll get it. But I'm going to call it here. I'm going to get ready for Ghost of... I almost said Tsushima. Ghost of Yotei. So it'll probably take me 15 or so minutes to move everything. And be able to do that. But if you enjoy these free resources, just share it with somebody else. It helps me find more people who might benefit from this. That helps me a lot. But anyways, I'm going to call it. Good questions again. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and goodbye.